Alright people, we're back with another vlog, and this one should be a bit more of a filled vlog really, with I guess a few different aspects. Sometimes I even forget to do an intro, so we're already off to a good start. But what I'm doing now is I'm just cooking up some food. I haven't actually eaten today. It's already about 5:45 and just been to see my grandmother, and she's given me a load of like calamari and some pizza and stuff to basically cook, bless her, so I don't have to spend time preparing loads of food. So that's some of that's in the air fryer, some of that's in the oven, so I'm gonna have that now. That'll give me some good, mainly just carbs and energy, and then a bit of protein, but I want to get a good pump during the session. So I'm gonna be training with my mate Ollie, and we're gonna hit back, so that'll be a 6 session. And yeah, at the moment I'm just gonna get my supplements ready to take with my meal, because you should have your supplements with something fatty if possible, or at least with some food. So let me just show you what I'm having. So at the moment I'm not running too low, but I'm not on any vitamin D3 and K2 or ashwagandha, because I need to re-up on both of those. But most important thing for me is my magnesium biglycinate, some of that. Then we've got multivitamins. Oh, so I do have some vitamin D3, but that calcium for my wrist. So yeah, if you guys want to get yourself some supplements, I would say find a reputable brand that's obviously actually been tested and has the proper ingredients and the actual dosages, or grab yourself a discount, GBFITUK at PROZIS, and yeah, they've got some really good stuff on there. Obviously I'd only recommend stuff I actually use and believe in, so that, and obviously as well, then creatine as well. So yeah, let's get this food down and get ready for a massive back session. Nice to see people with their Christmas lights up, that's nice. Still, actually haven't got mine up yet, to be fair. I'm waiting for my grandmother to give me her old fake tree, because she's got a new one. But to be fair, I'm not that pressed, because I've been doing loads of house renovation stuff. So that's all right. It's not like we need a big tree in the living room this week, but hopefully by the weekend we'll get that sorted. So I'm now on the way to the gym to meet Ollie, like I said, and gonna hit some back. Now, one thing I didn't mention earlier is I went for my Thailand jabs today for my holiday, and honestly, the right arm, because I had to have 3 jabs. First one was absolutely fine, second one was fine, and then she was like, oh, I'm gonna do the third one in your right arm. And I said, oh, I'd rather just have it in this one, to be fair, because those were fine, but she wasn't able to do it. So stuck it in the right arm, and just, yeah, wasn't the best. Obviously, is what it is, got to be done. And now, like a couple hours later, arm is just proper sore, to the point where even just like trying to hold on the steering wheel here is uncomfortable. So as I said, it is what it is. Suck it up and get on with it. There's nothing really I can do about it. I'm not going to take a rest day today, 100%, and tomorrow I'm also not taking a rest day, and I think it'll be worse tomorrow. So I had planned to do back today anyway, and then tomorrow I was going to do chest or legs. So there's no need for me to change today around, but I think what I'll do is I'll do legs tomorrow and just give myself a proper rest. So yeah, we'll do that. I'm just looking at my fuel gauge as well. I'm a little bit low, but I think we'll be all right. We'll see. Can't really be bothered to go right this second, but that might be wise. We'll see. I think we'll just risk it. If Ollie's with me, then at least he can give me a, well, perhaps he can. This is risky. Fuck it, yeah, we'll just go later. I want to get on the gym. I've been waiting too long. So I'm gonna have my pre-workout when I get there, because difficult to tell exactly when Ollie's gonna arrive. So, you know, trying to time it, but he lives a little bit further away than me. So I'll be having my pre-workout literally right as I pull up there. And yeah, I mean, the heating's on, I'm pretty warm, so that's good. Joints feeling good. Just obviously shoulders are gonna be a little bit sore for the first part of the session. But what always happens is, you know, you have some pre-workout, have some fucking caffeine, get some beta alanine in your system, have some ibuprofen, get some drum and bass on, get the pump going, and yeah, you forget all about it. So that's all I've got to say, really. I'm pretty much just waffling at this point. I think the rest of this week should pan out quite nicely for training wise. As I said, 1 chest session, 1 leg session, and that will take me through to Sunday. Today being, actually no, that's a lie. What will I do on Saturday then? So I think Saturday I may do arms and then rest Sunday, or I'll see how my shoulder's feeling basically, because there's no point in me making a crazy plan when it might all fall through. I'm all for planning, but when there's other variables that you don't know, yeah, there's no point in, you know, literally just spending energy and time overthinking it. That fucking fuel gauge is like below 0, so I am really hoping that I make it to the petrol station. I think I'll literally have to ask my mate to follow me just in case I conk out. Obviously cars should have a little bit of mileage after they hit that point, but yeah, I should fucking turn the heating off and the lights as well. That's just not wise. Right, I'm gonna turn the light off here just to save every little last drop that I've got, and yeah, see you guys in the gym. So it turns out the microphone actually wasn't switched on. Shocker, but I thought I'd just do another voiceover here, because honestly these are fine once in a while. It gives me a chance to talk about a different topic, and especially in this one in particular, because I was training with my mate that I haven't seen in a while. Obviously a lot of the clips in between is just going to be me and him chatting, etc. So starting off this with a mag grip lat pull down. As you can see here, this grip is very close. I do really enjoy this one though, and I do find that I'm very, very strong with this particular grip. So for those of you guys that don't often alternate your grips, they're something that I think you should be doing, not at the very start of your lifting, and not so often that you can't track the weight consistently, but every now and then I do really think it's beneficial to try something else. So whether that be going from a neutral grip to a supinated grip, which is basically when your palms are facing you or facing upwards, and then a pronated grip will be the other way around, so basically where your hands are kind of facing down. Those are both really good variations, but aside from that, you've then also got a kind of narrow grip. So if you're going to do a standard lat pull down where your hands would be, or palms would be facing away from you, that would be a pronated grip. But you can obviously go, you know, really narrow, you can kind of go in the middle, you can go wide, you can go super wide, and that same premise applies on a cable row, for example. So you can see here I've done a set and then I'm moving on to another set. This is actually full stack, so I can't actually remember how many reps I did on this set, but I don't often go for a full stack. But looking back at the kind of previous videos, you'll be able to see that the other lat pull down is actually out of order. So being able to use this one, and I do think that this machine is much more stable, much more kind of streamlined. It feels like it's been oiled a bit better. It feels like it's bolted into the ground, which isn't always a good thing, because the other one was kind of just like that old school bodybuilder feel. But then moving on to this one, obviously because everything on the other one was a bit rickety, now I just feel super strong, planted and ready to go. So another thing I want to make sure you guys are really doing well is actually adjusting the knee support to the appropriate place. So you can see here, obviously my legs are fixed in place there. You know, if you've got bigger quads than someone you're training with, if you've got bigger legs, you know, bigger body fat, higher body fat level, then realistically you should be moving the leg pad, because you want that to be as fixed in place as possible, that you're not wasting any energy trying to keep that weight down. So after the lat pull down, now moving on to a chest supported row, which this one in particular, I will not stand on the plate because I'm just quite tall, and unfortunately, or well, it doesn't really bother me, but if I was to do that, my chest would be way too high up and I'd basically be completely like leaned over, and the pad would be almost into my like abdomen and into my belly button area, whereas now it's kind of in my mid chest around my sternum there, so that's perfect. Now here I've got 80 kg on there. I think I've pushed this machine up to around 90 or 100, but it is a very, very difficult one to progress. The handles on this though are fantastic. So the handles here, they move really well clockwise, counterclockwise, etc. But not only that, you can also adjust the distance from the center of the machine. So if you go a little bit more narrow, you will probably find that that targets a little bit more of your kind of mid back, maybe a bit of your lats. If you go wider, it's likely to be a bit more of your upper back, and then maybe even some rear delt. So here I'm pretty much going neutral. This is kind of the middle setting. And for me, this feels great. Doesn't put too much strain on my wrist, allows me to get a decent range of motion. I do like to stretch down like crazy on this one because I find that a stretch on this just gives me such an incredible feeling through my back. And it's just something that I don't get on many other machines. And then after the day that I've trained, or even sometimes, 2 days, 48 hours, sometimes honestly, the DOMs can last longer than that. I find that there's a crazy kind of area of inflammation, which is what I want. So here I've dropped it to a 70 kg working weight, which is still decently heavy, but nothing insane. And, I'm just focusing now on getting that bar, getting that plate as high up towards my forehead as possible, leaning back with my chest a little bit at the top of the movement, which I think is absolutely fine. It works for me. It allows me to really kind of pin my scapula back and just helps my back development overall, or especially in the upper back. So something which I have been trying to include a lot more recently in my workouts is basically rowing movements, which specifically includes scapular retraction. So that's when your shoulder blades are actually kind of moving backwards. Because for me, that's probably one of the areas in my body that, although I do love to train it, I don't think it's a weakness. I actually think it's a strength. So I'm not inclined to try and progress it and train it as much. Whereas my lats is something that I'm trying to improve quite a lot more. So basically what has happened in the past is I've kind of steered away from doing as much horizontal rows or, really heavy kind of rows that target the upper and mid back and the traps. And that hasn't affected my progress because I've still done insanely heavy lifts, or I've still done other muscle groups which use those muscles but not as much. But also on top of that, it could just be the case of I'm doing only perhaps 1, 2 or 3 sets per week for that exact exercise, versus in the past when I've tried to grow it, that volume's going to spike way up. So the pros of obviously reducing potentially exercises or muscle groups or variations from your plan is that then obviously you can devote that energy elsewhere. However, the downside is just because you don't want to grow it, that can still have an effect on things like muscle stabilization, overall kind of symmetry. And I just think for me, not doing those rows has sometimes reduced that scapular retraction so much that it's left a bit of a weakness in my shoulder joint. So what I've been trying to do recently is not let that go on for too long. So if I do take a period of time where I'm not doing as much rows, I'll then kind of jump back in after a period of time before I start to notice that weakness or that injury. So that's worked really well for me. And like I said, it's more about analyzing what training you're currently doing and what you've done in the past, and then kind of trying to prevent those injuries from either getting worse or occurring again. Because obviously if you're taking time off the gym, if you're having an injury, that's just going to be something which is going to completely halt your progress. So after that one, moved on to a really nice bicep machine here. So this one here, I just find to be probably the best, or one of the best machine pin loaded bicep curls that I've ever used. I absolutely love doing these single arm. I've been doing these for such a long period of time and I just never ever get bored of them. And I also still find that I'm able to progress. I don't get any injuries. I don't get any elbow pain, anything like that. So yeah, a really good staple that I'll pretty much always include in my arm days or in my back and bicep days, in my pull days, I guess you could say. Another thing is, because I don't have this machine at my house, whenever I do home gym workouts, I'm obviously forced to do other things, which is absolutely fine. Like cables is fantastic for biceps, barbells good for biceps, dumbbells now go up to 50 kg. So I can have an incredible arm session or a back and bicep session, or sometimes I'll 100% just do biceps by themselves. There's been days where I've done, hour and a half bicep sessions and absolutely just fucking destroyed my bicep and forearms. And I know some of you guys might think that's overkill, but for me, if I'm going to be training 3, 4, 5 days in a week, I potentially wouldn't do that. But if I'm actually going to be training 6 or 7 days in a week, I might choose to do 4 or 5 of those days as the typical kind of, maybe chest and shoulders, legs, back, arms, and then the other days I might just top up with things I want a bit more focus on. So whether that be a day of just completely side delts, or maybe a day of just completely biceps or triceps, etc. So after that one, moving on to some heavy hammer curls. So this is now working a bit more with the forearm. I have got pretty strong on hammer curls recently. I did take them out of my plan for a while and now I've chucked them back in. I'll go from doing seated to standing, and I can never really make up my mind which I prefer the most. Also, when I was doing seated, I would sometimes do them double arm, but I find that personally alternating is a lot better. I find that when you do them double arm together, it's quite difficult because you can't rotate the body. It gets to a certain point and it almost feels like it's working my front delt a little bit. Now, obviously I could reduce the weight, but for me, I like to train arms or at least biceps nice and heavy. So I find that having a little twist there and just kind of getting that few extra inches
benches at the top of the movement really helps to engage and contract that muscle. So a few more sets on this one, and I believe that's the last exercise of the session. So honestly, not much volume overall. I think I literally only did like 2 back exercises and perhaps 2 biceps, unless I've forgotten one that I've just seen on here. But yeah, it's not anything crazy. It's not anything, you know, new or exciting, but it is some really good staple exercises that obviously I'm doing at what I would consider to be a very high level of intensity and a high level of weight for my personal capability. So obviously started off with a lat pull down max stack there, started off on the chest supported row, 80 kg on that one, and then obviously the bicep machine there was next. I think I usually go single arm around half the stack on that, so still on that one, and that is a very, very heavy machine. You know, there's some machines where you can easily just full stack it, but that one's very humbling. So yeah, that's ideal, because obviously having a machine where you're not at the max capacity is great, because then you've got somewhere to go, you can really focus and set goals and actually see that progression increase. Now, one thing to say is on the lat pull down there, I technically could have added, you know, more plates by putting them over the top or got a gym pin or something like that, but that's just not really something that I'm trying to do at this point in time. And as you can see, I was only getting probably 8 to 10 reps and the rest were partial. So I have still got some room for improvement and progression. But yeah, finishing off the video here with a quick little pose down, not in the usual room, but just getting one done here. So because at this point in time, I was carved up, as you heard me say there, I had calamari, I had pizza, that's just going to be full of mainly carbs and fats. And by the looks of it, that has just been shuttled straight to my muscle stores. And, you know, that glycogen is just rich and full. And it's basically given us, or it's given me, a solid workout, good energy levels, and a pretty gnarly pump. So yeah, it was a really, really good session. And overall, I think my back training is pretty much at a solid level, and it has been for a really long period of time. I think for me, looking to the future, it's going to be shoulders for the next bulk that I want to improve. So I have taken a bit of time off doing overhead press and things like that. And I think that's really benefited my shoulder health and not impacted my fatigue, so that I can do more volume on my close grip tricep press and on my incline bench for my upper chest. But now I'm quite happy with those areas. I think that it's going to be a bit more beneficial for me to do either more seated shoulder press machines, which I would prefer, or failing that, a Smith machine incline press. So yeah, we'll jump back into the commentary now, and hope you guys enjoy.
I'm not sure why it's so dark in here. Probably a little bit too dark for you to actually see me. But just to round off the video, that was a really great session. As always, when do we ever have a bad session? They're far and few between. But I just want to leave this here and say nothing really. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm just having fun making these videos. Literally can't see why I wouldn't make them, because they're just easy to make, enjoyable, great to see my progress, great to see my form, and just overall fun to document. So if any of you guys are considering picking up a camera and maybe starting to film your workouts, document your fitness journey, I've been doing that for now probably nearly 6-7 years of my nearly 9 years of training. So it's definitely worth it, and it's so fun to look back through old footage. Even if you're not posting it, you don't have to be the next David Lay to just enjoy looking back at your footage and reminiscing about training in the early days. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. The only way is up.
So we have got a bit of an extra bonus section to the vlog, which I'm very excited about, and I didn't actually think this was going to arrive today. So that's one good thing about, you know, a company, which I'm now going to explain to you about. Whenever you communicate with a company, even if it's just someone that you're buying from, not actually trying to work with, that initial communication and that experience with talking, discussing things, actually receiving the product on time with correct items is all really important. So the companies that I work with at the moment, there's only 3. So I've got PROZIS is my main sponsor for supplements, you know, gym clothing, things like that, everything to do with the gym. Then for my meat products, things that I would actually cook, high protein, lean, exotic meats, that's KEZIE Foods. And then with my snacks and things like that, high protein snacks, that is now the Serious Pig. So just a little backstory here. We've got some goodies, okay? And basically this company I found out about, I'm not too sure if it was 6 months, a year ago, but a decent amount of time. And I've only ever had their cheese bites, the cheese snacks are absolutely amazing. So I've been having those, didn't really think about specifically reaching out to them. And then when I went on my recent holiday to Spain, I was really low on protein and I just wanted a little bit of a snack to have on the plane. But because I'm been dieting down, I still want to keep my calories at a relatively low level. So these snacks obviously have got fat in, but other than that, it's pretty much just fat and protein. So the overall amount of calories per snack for the protein ratio, in my opinion, is really good. Obviously, if you're someone that's in a bodybuilding prep or you're in the depths of a diet, this is perhaps not going to be applicable to you. But yeah, for me, it's absolutely perfect. So let's have a look and see what we've got in here. Right, let me get a knife first. So, like I was saying, these are perfect for me because I've just come off a diet and I'm slowly raising my calories up. So I'm pretty much now a little bit more open to different foods rather than just, you know, chicken breast and super low calorie, small servings of the carbs that go with it. But yeah, let's have a look. So I'm very excited for the cheese selection box because that's what I've been loving. That's the main reason I wanted to work with this company. Yeah, this is crazy. So I'll show you some of the snacks after I've properly unboxed it, but this is absolutely lovely. So snack selection box, just give you a quick sneak peek in here. Those are the ones which just got me hooked. So if anyone's seen those, if you see them on an aeroplane, if anywhere you need some high protein content, there's 11 grams per pack and only 135 calories. So pretty much the same as a brunch bar, but you're getting 11 grams of actual full protein, not trace proteins from, you know, rice and carbs and the lesser efficient digested proteins versus actual animal protein, which has got all the amino acids. So these are fantastic. There's loads of other flavors as well, which I haven't tried any of the other ones, but so excited to get into those. So these ones as well, I'll just show you. Caramelized onion, they're looking crazy as well. So hopefully that focuses. But yeah, that'll be my treat for later today. And I'll try not to blast through these because they are extremely nice. So that's the first one. Second up, I think we've got some of the, salami selection box. So haven't actually tried these myself, but these are also something that I'm very excited for. So I'll have some sort of salami sticks from just supermarkets if I go past, but you know, sometimes buying things in a pack, you get it cheaper if you buy in a multi-pack, and these ingredients I know are absolutely insane. So that's one thing about this brand. They use very good, high quality ingredients. Serious Pig, have a look online if you guys need more information. But yeah, these sorts of things here are going to be absolutely amazing. So pretty much very high quality salami sticks. So yeah, they're going to be amazing. We've got a few different flavors of those. Got some spicy, got some standard ones, so that'll be also amazing. This for me is the perfect selection box. They do sell olives and crisps and that sort of stuff, but obviously for my lifestyle, for what I actually want to have in my diet and promote, this is absolutely perfect. So good quality ingredients, extremely tasty and high in protein. So yeah, what more could you want, literally? Like I said, unless you're on a bodybuilding prep or you're extremely low on calories, this realistically is going to benefit anyone, even just someone that's not that serious about the gym, that perhaps just want to enjoy some nice food that is going to help them on their journey. These ones are kind of the final box of variety. So we've got a few different, basically they're just air dried pork. And again, it's just super lean protein. There's not really much else to it. So per pack here, you've got 16 grams of protein with only 112 calories. So that is pretty much like the macros of a protein bar, if not probably better actually. If you were to kind of double that, 32 grams of protein for 224 calories. That is a crazy ratio. So yeah, very excited. And just want to say, big thank you to the Serious Pig for pretty much working with me. So if I've got any codes or links, I'll put it down in the description. But other than that, if you go ahead to my TikTok, which by this point in time should be at GBFITUK, I'll link it on my TikTok shop so you can go ahead and purchase it through that. But yeah, either way, I'll be enjoying this stuff regardless because this is a company that I've had in the past and I'm very excited to now work with. So yeah, that'll be that, guys. Last exciting thing is also got an exercise bike to set up in here. So I'll give you an update once that's ready. Just gonna help me do a bit more cardio in the mornings and make sure I keep
some leanness here without just going crazy on the body fat. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little unboxing, and that's all from me.